it is talking about, it's going to talk about organizations generally, and then the focus will be the workplace and the church. Yeah, when we say organizations, we have informal and formal organizations. Yeah, the formal organization is something like this church. We have formal structures in there. So the structures we have include, let's say, women's fellowship, men's fellowship, the leaders, Suma, and all the various groups in it. They are all formal because they form part of the structure. And within this formal organization, we have informal, where people meet, people form cliques. Sometimes you can take travel lines. Sometimes in every organization, you will find some of these things. They may be even three. But sometimes their activities affect the whole church. Or if it's a workplace, their activities affect the workplace. So it is important that you understand. And you see, the organizations at church said that they are open. They are open socio-technical systems in the sense that you operate in a way that people can come in, people can go. It is not closed. Today, somebody can come in and come and join us. Tomorrow, he will not be coming again. So whatever happens here, the person can take it away. The behavior that somebody has outside, that person can bring it to the organization as well. And that can also affect so many things. So we need to understand that there is the formal and informal organization. I will take you through the things I will talk about. I think if you can change the things I want to talk about today, all the various topics. Hey, can I see? Okay, so we talk about philosophical underpinnings of conflict prevention. What great men, philosophers of the past, what they have talked about role conflict, their ideas about, some of them short sentences, but they are very important for our lives. And then generally we look at human nature. How do human beings behave? Why do we behave the way we behave? All these things are very important. And then we look at cooperation and teamwork, both at the workplace and in the church. We also look at the role we play, our role set, role conflict. We look at sources of conflict. We also look at effects of conflict. We look at practical ways to control conflict. And then there is a group that call themselves Harvard Global Negotiation Project. They have some ideas about how to settle conflicts. And so we look at that one too. And then we look at this third-sided view. These same people call themselves third-siders. When they are resolving conflict, they look at the third side of the conflict. Yes, and so they call themselves third-siders. And then skills needed to control destructive conflict. Then we have controlling conflict at the stage of power struggle. Then there are ethical issues that underlie prevention of role conflict. And then lastly, we'll talk about some religious views on role conflict. Then we conclude. So these are the things we'll be talking about. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes, this is a saying by William Shakespeare. He said, "O war, thou son of hell, whom angry heavens do make their minister." Can someone explain this statement? It's a very short statement, but it's a little deep. "O war, thou son of hell, whom angry heavens do make their minister, throw in the frozen bosoms of our path, hot coals of vengeance, let no soldier fly. He that is truly dedicated to war hath no self-love, nor he that loves himself hath not essentially but by circumstance the name of a valour." What Shakespeare is trying to say is that, I will break it down so you understand. Oh, war, that son of hell. If you say something is hell, war is hell. It's not a good thing. So conflict, war, and anything that can affect human beings, they are all not good. So Shakespeare is saying that war is a son of hell. And angry heavens. So people who are angry, people who you can see are very good people, but when they are angry, they are very angry, and they make war their minister. So it means war controls them. And this is something we should look at carefully, because we are in the church and most of the time certain things happen. It starts with small things before you realize it has become a big thing. So he said, throw in the frozen bosoms of our path. Always make things cool. If they say something is frozen, it is cooled down. When tempests flare, the good thing to do is to cool it down. You understand me? Then he says again, hot coals of vengeance, let no soldier fly. Don't think that if you are a soldier or you are brave or whoever you are, you should avenge whatever anybody does. You don't have to avenge. Look at the other side of it, and sometimes you forgive the person. You may not know why the person did what he did. Maybe when you go through it well, you understand some of the things. He said, he that is truly dedicated to war hath no self-love. Anybody who believes in war or conflict doesn't love himself. Because in the end, you lose something too. When you wage a war against a friend, or you fight a friend, you will not beat the friend throughout. He also hit you in a way. So once you say negative things about somebody, he also says negative things about you. Whilst you are destroying him, he's also destroying you. And remember, this is a church. So I picked this statement from Shakespeare because it's very deep. And it talks about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And it says, if you are somebody who likes war, then you don't have self-love. You understand me? And you see the last word, but by circumstance, the name of a villain, you would think you are brave, you have faced him. But that's what my father will say some time ago, he will tell you some time ago, and you think because you are hard, but you are behaving in a village way, it's not a good thing to do. Avenging always is not good. Remember, at the office where you work, there are people who come from different backgrounds. You also come from a different background, but show something different as a Christian. Okay, so let's move to the next. This was by Shakespeare. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so again, he said, the arms are fair when the intent of bearing them is just. The arms are fair when the intent of bearing them is just. So if in your mind what you are doing is good, God knows. So your intention, if your intention is just, whatever you do, if you know within you that what you did is just, then you are right. It may be wrong in the eyes of men, but your God knows what you are doing is right. So that statement is very, very important, and I will use Paul's situation to analyze this one. You remember Paul? Paul was persecuting the Christians, but because persecuting the Christians was not a good thing, is it? It wasn't. But God did not destroy him. He was persecuting the Christians for a purpose. He thought he was protecting the word of God. At the time, Paul thought he was protecting the word of God. He didn't understand why some people would come with different. At the time, what the disciples were preaching were a little different. So he didn't understand it. But he had a pure heart. The intention with which he was doing what he was doing was very good. So Paul was not doing any wrong thing. So instead of destroying him, Jesus appeared to him and told him that I'm the one you are persecuting. And since then, Paul changed, and the zeal with which he was persecuting was the same zeal he used to preach the word of God. That's why the people of old said, Paul a one man tem or no. You see, he did a lot because what he was doing at the time, he thought he was doing the right thing. He didn't understand what he was doing. So sometimes someone does something against you, and you think you have to revenge. But maybe what the person was doing, the intention with which the person did it, was not bad after all. But you use a bad intention to avenge. And you see that somebody is always being blessed, but you are not being blessed because you don't have a pure heart. The Bible says, blessed are the pure in spirit, for they shall see God. The God that you see is not that you see God with your eyes. God will manifest in your life, and you'll be blessed beyond measure. So some of these things are very important, and the basis of it is what we are going through. It's a long, presentation, but along the line we'll fast track it so you don't sleep. Then the next line is Julius Caesar. He said, in wars, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. If they say something is trivial, we all know it. Something that is not so important. So it's things that cause conflict among people are sometimes very trivial. And then it becomes a problem. You see, so probably it wasn't the niche. Maybe he was referring to another person, or you don't know. Because of that, you are also angry. See, so trivial things are the things that start, they start as latent tension. At your workplace, when we say latent tension, things that create problems between people, but it doesn't show anywhere. They only show when they are destroying. And with all this, I can say the devil is behind it. As we go on, you will understand it better. Can we move on? Yeah, so I'm done with this. Let's move to the next stage. Yes, this one is by Socrates. He's the master philosopher. He says, justice is given to everyone is due. We need to be equitable in all we do. If you are in a managerial position and you treat everybody fairly, then you are just. Even if you are not in a managerial position and you are supervising people, you need to treat everybody, be equitable with everybody as a Christian. Don't give favors to some people because you think you like them. It is not fair. So this is what Socrates is saying. Justice is given to everyone is due. And for him, he says it's not in the judicial sense, but it is in the sociopolitical and economic sense. Doing unto people what you think should be done unto them, what they deserve, not going outside and doing other things. So let's move on, please. Then the last one, excuse me. Let's go back. Justice is not mere strength, but it is harmonious strength. You see, when you work closely with people in harmony, there is strength in it. You see, when we come to church, apart from work, even the church place, when we come to church and we are close to people, we will pray together, we sing together, and we do everything together, there is strength in it. It's difficult for the devil to penetrate when we do that. And so the same thing applies to, say, hey, people have started yawning, you. Okay, so let's move on. And then Plato and Aristotle, the two of them, they said justice means goodness as well as willingness to obey laws. If you are here and you want justice, just obey the regulations of the church. Obey what you are told to obey. Don't go contrary to, because if we are all obeying, there will be justice. But if we disobey, it's difficult to have justice. Thank you. So now we'll move to the real things. These are that's the philosophical underpinnings. Now we are going to understand human nature. Why do people behave the way they behave? And when you understand how people behave, then you will see that it is important to situate people in their corner and understand them. When you are dealing with people, you need to understand them and deal with them so you don't do the wrong things. So the first thing I'll talk about human nature is one, Matthew J. Rosano. He says people behave the way they behave because of the culture in which they grow, the environment in which they grow. So he believes that, for instance, let me bring it back to Ghana. He believes that a place like Choco, if you are born in Choco, you live there for about 10 years, your behavior and everything will look like somebody from that place. You start bleaching your face, you start behaving, you talk to people in a different manner. If you were born in Bantama, same thing. They have a way of talking. They talk in a manner that you will see that this person is different. He's from a place. Tadi boys, they have the way they slang, they talk, they say and those things. So it's their kind of life. And that is how they are brought up. So it shows in everything they do. You understand me? In the same way, if somebody is born in, let's say, airport residential area, the behavior is different. So the cultural environment determines your behavior to a large extent. So Matthew Rosano said that one of the reasons why we behave the way we behave is because of our nature, and that comes from the cultural environment where we were brought up. That's the first thing. The second thing that I believe will determine your behavior is the genes, your parents, the genes you inherit from your parents. You realize that some children walk like their parents, their nose pointed like their parents, the hair will be plenty like the parents. Somebody is hairy because the parents are hairy. Don't you think the brain can be the same if it happens like that, and the brain to follow the same trend. So your behavior to some extent is influenced by the genes you inherit from your parents. So there are two things I've mentioned now: your genes that you inherited from your parents and the cultural environment. These two things will shape your life. These are things we already know. Look, somebody who was born in Saudi Arabia or Iraq, the likelihood that the person will be Christian is very small. He's likely to be a Muslim because the parents are Muslim. All the environment in which he is, they are all Muslims. Probably that's why Jesus has not come. He wants the gospel to reach everywhere before he comes. You understand me? So the environment is very key. And the genes, we all also know. People, the mannerism, somebody will behave just the same way the father behaves. And that thing tells on you. It shapes the way you talk, the way you behave and everything. Then the last thing I will talk about is some experiences you have in life. Some people undergo some traumatic situations, and that also influences their life. So these are the three things I wanted to understand. When you are dealing with people, you should know that this person, this is the kind of person he is, whether at the workplace or in the church. And so sometimes you have to understand the person. Apart from this, there are people who also behave in a way because of greed, jealousy, and all that. So you should know the people around you and understand them, so you can flow with them the way you have to, so there won't be any conflict. I went through this so you understand the nature of human being. It's natural for somebody to behave in a way you don't like, because both of you didn't grow up in the same environment. You attended a different school, the person attended a different school. So all the experiences that you went through are quite different from that person's experiences. So I think, can we move to there? And so these are the things I've just talked about. Please move on. Okay, now let's come to conflict. Do we have Bible here? Oh, okay. So conflict. What is conflict? We are now addressing the issues. Conflict is an active disagreement between people with opposing opinions or principles. Everybody, I have said it already, you have your principles as a human being. And so it is the principles that you have that influence your behavior. See, your opinions are shaped by the way you are. So that is how it will be. And then one Laurie Mullins, he also said that conflict is a behavior intended to obstruct the achievement of some other person's goals. So you have an interest, you have a desire, you have likes, you have dislikes, you have ideals, you have ambitions. Another person also has his own ambitions, interests, and all that. When these come together, they can be at variance, they can conflict. And that is what can cause conflict. So some of these things, when you study them, you sometimes have to take your time. When somebody's opinion, don't push your subjective opinion too much. You see, when you are in an organization like the church, you don't push, and there is a discussion. Don't push your subjective opinion too much to the extent that it will become it will result in latent tension. Because if you push it, the other person will also push, and that's where the latent tension will come. And latent tension doesn't show immediately. It will show later, and sometimes when they show, as we go on, you will see. Can we change there? No, there are some Bible verses there that I want us to. James 4, verse 1 to 3. And then somebody should also look at 1 John 4, 19 to 21.
James chapter 4, verse 1 to 3. From whence comes wars and fighting amongst you? Comes they not hence, even if your lust that the war is in your members? Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. Verse 4. Ye idolaters and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God.
Okay, so the import of all what he has read is that we we have interest, we want to achieve some things, yet we don't have the good intention. Even if God gives it to us, first he said we don't even pray for it. So how would you get it? Then you listen to it carefully. He said you don't pray for it, so you won't even get it. And when you pray for it, the intention with which you pray for it is not good. You want to ask something from God, but your intention is to misuse what God will give to you. Bear in mind, God knows your intentions. So that thing you're asking for, you will not get. It's a principle that you should understand. And then the second one, can somebody read the second one? There are two. 1
John 4:19. The woman said unto him, Sir, I receive that thou art a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Our fathers worship in this.
No, I don't think this is the. I said 1 John, not John 4:20. 1 John.
1 John 4. 1 John 4:19.
Uh-huh.
We love because he first loved us.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever claims to love God, yet hates his or her brother, is a liar. Whoever does not. Should I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So, whoever does not love their brother or sister, whom they have sinned, cannot love God, whom they have not seen.
Good. Let's leave it there. There's a song like that, this particular passage. You see, you are lying. You say you love God, but the person that is close to you, even in church, you don't love the person. Your brother, you don't love. Sometimes it happens that you are going to, what do you call it? You are coming to church and somebody is seriously sick. Then you bypass the person. I'm not saying you shouldn't pay your tithe and use the money to come and pay tithe. The person is good to come and pay tithe, but do the other things as well. Love your brother or your sister the way you love God. Because he says, if you don't do it for these people, you have not done it for me. So please, what I'm saying is that let us be each other's keeper. Your member in church is equally important as the God you serve, because he was created in God's image. So God thinks that if you have not seen him, he doesn't believe that you love him if you don't love your brother, whom you see always. You understand me? So this is the basis for which we can even prevent conflict. If you love somebody, would you gossip at the person? Would you say negative things about the person? No. Okay, so let's move on. Once we have addressed that, this thing. So origin of conflict is not necessary. Let's move to the next stage. Yes, now cooperation within conflicts. You see, cooperation is very important, or what we call teamwork. It's very, very important because wherever there is no cooperation, there is no harmony. The American Scientific Journal said that the white egret. You see, when they, according to the American Scientific Journal, when they are flying, and they are flying together, they increase the flight efficiency by 75%. But if individually they are flying, they go this way, they can move faster. It looks like the wind brings them back, so they are not able to move faster. It tells you something about unity. Even animals unite to achieve efficiency. So if you are a human being and you are a workplace, cooperate with people you work with. If you are in the church, cooperate with people you work with. Wherever you are, try and cooperate with people, because you want growth and productivity. So what I would say about that is that there are so many examples of cooperation even among animals. Look at, if you watch National Geographic very well, the geographic world, you see lions that before they get their prey, they work together. Some of them will move this way, some will move this way. So they work together to be able to eat. It's a basic way of doing things so that there will be efficiency. If animals or the jungle, where stupidity is their main object, they are able to cooperate, how come human beings are unwilling to cooperate? Let's cooperate. And I'll give you one last example. All of us have been children. I remember when I was class 3, class 4, there was a book Very important book. It was English book. And there was a comprehension about the singing bird, the climbing plant, and then the tortoise. That story, the import of that story is very important. The singing bird was making a lot of noise, singing, and the tortoise was down there, down. He could not reach the bird. So he told the climbing plant, tell the singing bird to stop singing because the hunter is coming. Told the hunter is coming, so stop singing. But the climbing plant said, it's not my business. I can't be bothered. So the singing bird sang and sang and sang. And when the hunter approached, it saw it and shot it. When it shot the singing bird fell right where the tortoise was. Yes and Yobi. Then when it fell there, the hunter had to tie both of them. So the climbing plant who said it wasn't his business, they pulled the climbing plant and tied both of them. You know what it means? It means that every issue in the church concerns you. Every issue in your workplace concerns you. Don't say I can't be bothered. It is very, very important. We are each other's keeper. When we think about each other, work with each other, and do things, if you come to the church and there's a problem somewhere, don't say that it's not my business, I'm leaving it. Do something about it. That's the means by which God will bless you. So let's be each other's keeper, and then I think we'll play some small short video, and then it talks about cooperation. There are two of them. So if the guy can he play it? Can he right click and preview? It will show. It's not coming. This I saw it on WhatsApp. I don't know whether some of you have seen it already. Can you right click and volume? The volume is not coming, but I can give you the comments. This person came and he said, what kind of mess is this? She said, what kind of mess is this? Why don't you have a messenger in there? They're all coming to look for a job. And he said, why don't you have a messenger here? Where's your messenger? Who controls the messenger? And then she was so hysterical, she just spoke negatively about the company and went and sat down. The second person came, the same. There was death there, and then she, what kind of organization? Who is in charge of this? Where is the messenger? She also went and sat down. I don't know why the volume is not coming. Oh, okay, that's okay. So she spoke nasty words to the import of it is that she spoke nasty words to the lady who was there. Then the third person came. I think the third person did the right thing somehow. She also complained about the debt there, but she said, okay, let me see if I can do something about it. She didn't go. She didn't just insult them, but she complained and said, let me do something about it. And she cleaned it. They were all going to look for a job. And then the MD came out. Went to look for a job. The MD came out and said, you have the job. The one who cleaned the thing. He said they were looking for somebody who is a team player. Somebody who will cooperate. Somebody who will not just complain about things. Cleaning this thing should not be a problem at all. But you started insulting the whole company, the company in which you want to go and work. So sometimes temperance, self-control is very important. And doing things from your heart. You see, it's not as if you want to showcase some character. No. What she did was, genuinely, that's how she is. And she would have done it anytime, anywhere. So she had that value in her, and that's why she did it right. The next video that I'm going to show is about two animals fighting, and watch what happened. If you quarrel, what can happen to you? Can we move to the next video? I hope that one there's no need for sound. I just playing it. So right click and preview, it will show. 2 impellers. If this thing doesn't come, I want you to see how the devil can distract you and have the better part of you. They were fighting over. You see, they were fighting and a lion came to come and catch one of them. That is what happens to human beings. If yours is to quarrel with people in the church room, you give the devil the opportunity. Your focus will move from this thing with God, your relationship with God, and then you concentrate on quarreling with people. So once you quarrel with a person, the devil gets the chance to attack you. And so that's exactly what happened here. The singing band people, they have a song they normally sing. So at the time that you think you are okay, that you don't respect anybody, that you snub people, you talk to people anyhow, that's when the devil will strike. And exactly what happened to those impalas. Let's move on. Now we'll go to the real role conflict issues. These are issues, background issues to prepare you for it. And I pray nobody sleeps. Yeah, so a role is a set of activities associated with any given position. So all the things you do in your organization or in the church is your role. The role you play in the church, the role you play in your organization. But the role set is a combination of all the roles. Your role in the church, my role, the role of the leaders, the role of the women's fellowship, the role of the men's fellowship. When we bring them together, they become the role set. And some people call it what? The behavioral architecture of the organization. The behavioral architecture. So if you are a leader or you are a manager of an institution, you should be able to understand the behavioral architecture of the organization. You should understand why everyone behaves. And that is how you can manage people. Otherwise, it will be difficult to manage people. So all these things I've told you and where we have come from, it is in a way telling you that these are some of the things you see about people you interact with. That's how people are. People have their desires, they have their likes, they have their dislikes, they have their ambitions. And when your ambition, your desire and everything conflict with mine, there's a likelihood that there will be no conflict. There's no qualms about that. Can we move on? So the various members of a particular role set may have quite different role expectations of the focal person. So when we all have different expectations I have a different expectation from you because I have a different background, I have my interests, I have my ambition. And when all these come together, they become what? Role conflict. Can we go back to role pressures? We put pressure on people in the church or in our organization to behave in the way we want. You see, that's what we call role pressure. You put pressure on them. I want you to behave this way. But you see, the whole organization is not you alone. The organization is not you alone. It is the role of many people that have come together to form the organization. So there will be role conflict if you don't look at the whole picture and you don't understand that there are people who have also who have their ambitions, their interests, and their likes. So don't be too subjective in dealing with people. You need to be very objective when you are interacting with people. Be very objective. And when you are objective, you understand that this is the way you think. It's not you alone, but hear from others too. It is very important. Can we move on? The next slide. Okay, there are 4 types of role conflicts, and Miles and Perriott, they've talked about a person role conflict. Person role conflict is when the degree to which role expectation clash with the values and orientation of the focal person. The focal person is you the individual in the organization. The way role expectation from other people affect you. There are so many people who have various roles in the organization, and those people, they have some expectations from you, and the expectation they have from you conflict. Let's say Papa Osofo thinks that this is the way you should behave. What do you call it? The women fellowship also think this is the way you should behave, and then the men's fellowship think this is the way you should behave. All these ones, if they are not coherent and they are different and they are at variance, what will happen to you is that you will face some kind of conflict. It is inherent. It is something that will happen. So you need to be able to see the people in your role set who are important people in your role set. It's not that somebody is not important, but in terms of who you report to, you should know who is the important person in your role set. Can we move on? The second one is, please. The second one is intergender conflict. That is when the degree to which role expectations from one or more members of the role set oppose those from others. You see, and it's similar, it's just like what I said earlier. One or more members and theirs are different from yours. The other one was their roles, expectations are different from yours. But this one is about all of them, their roles oppose each other. So that's the difference between the two. Can we move on to the next one? And then there's intergender conflict. This is the degree to two or more role expectations from a single member of the role set is mutually incompatible. And this one, it happens mostly in organizations. Your boss will tell you that, look, let's make sure that we advertise this position. And you think that is right. Advertise this position. Go through interview. Let's select the best. He has given you this instruction. Then he will pass behind and tell you that I have these two people. I want you to appoint them. So the same person has given you two roles to play. One in public, one in private. And he's expecting you to work both out. Meanwhile, you have your values. You can say, I'm a Christian, I can't do that. So when what he's saying conflicts with your value, that can also bring conflict. It's one major type of conflict that people face every now and then. Even in the church place, because sometimes it happens. In public, they will come and say, somebody will come and say this, and then in private, the same person will come and tell you another thing which is very different from what the person said. So it becomes a problem. Okay, so let's move on. Then the fourth one is role overload. And this one too happens mostly in organizations. This one can let many people resign. In some organizations, they will tell you that this is your target. If they say role overload, they give you a lot of work, and the time available for you to finish the work is very small. There's no way you can, but they have given you the work. So you have to do it. You see, and there's a way sometimes you can overcome these things. You prioritize. When you prioritize, you look at those that are important and those that you can delegate. You see, those that you can do them later. So when you look at things like that, then even though somebody wants you, and so he doesn't want you to meet your target, he has set an unrealistic target for you. You can overcome it when you plan yourself well, when you prioritize well. When you look at things that are important, things that are not too important, things you can delegate. So if you look at things in that manner, they can set traps for you, but they won't get you. But most often than not, people will complain, and then the people who want them will get them. At the workplace, there are so many ways somebody will get you if the person is your superior. Yes. So these targets that they meet and all that, there's more to it. Okay. So now sources of conflict. This one is very, very important, and I will rush through them. Differences in perception. You see, I've talked about this severally. When you are in an organization, there's a likelihood that you have different perception. Another person has different perception. So once such perceptions clash, there can be conflict. Yeah. Number two, limited resources. Mostly in budgeting time, every department wants some resources for themselves. So they want to be resourced so they can operate well. But we have to be equitable. If you are in a position of authority and you are sharing, make sure that he who deserves more gets more. Be very equitable. Those who produce more should be given more. Or if you produce less, you get less. So productivity should be the guiding principle. And this thing happens everywhere, even in the church. Sometimes sharing of resources is not always clean. It's the same people who, as I told you, the church is an open socio-technical system. People come from outside and they come and join. People leave and go. So attitudes that are outside can be brought into the church. It's an open system. So when you are dealing with people in the church, you take your time, because you yourself, you are not God. You don't judge. Somebody will say, the person behaves in this manner, so I'm leaving the church. Who tells you? The church doesn't belong to the person. You see, so we need to understand people to be able to work with them. Yeah, please, let's move on. Then departmentalization and specialization. Inward-looking nature of us. Most of us, we are too inward-looking. If you belong to, let's say, men's fellowship, and somebody belongs to women's fellowship, we are all in the church. We want the church to grow. So we shouldn't look at where we belong. Me, I'm an instrumentalist. I play the drums. So I'm a special person. No, we are all one. If God will bless you, God will not look at the outside. I've said it already. It is your heart that God will look at. So let's work hard, and we shouldn't look at other things. Please, let's move on. It's a long distance. So then this one is the nature of the work. Look, the nature of your work you do can affect your life so much. There's one behavioral scientist. He says, taking up an organizational role is like a body tattoo. You know what body tattoo is? The tattoo. People tattoo their body and everything. And sometimes it's difficult to remove it. You can't remove it. So he has likened organizational role to a body tattoo. So when you take up an organizational role for a long time, it's just like a teacher. Somebody who teaches, when he leaves the classroom, he talks to anybody like he's talking to children. We call it occupational psychosis. You have done some work for a long time, and it becomes part of you. It's like a soldier. Somebody who is trained as a soldier and has been in the military for a long time. When he comes out, he talks to people, gives them order, obey before complains what he thinks about. And I work with professors, and I can tell you, everything you put before them, they rationalize it. They look, analyze it. Sometimes the thing is so simple, but they want to see how complex the thing is. Everything you bring to them. Sometimes they are too intelligent to be reasonable. Everything they see, they have to rationalize. And that even delays things. So when you are working with people like that, you should understand them. This person, this is how he is. So sometimes you engage such people even before you start the meeting with them. If you have a meeting with them, you engage them outside the meeting. And such people can also be in the church. So when issues come up, then you are discussing in the church, and you have somebody who is very opinionated, who is very argumentative. Don't shut the person down. Give the person the chance. You also say yours. And at the end of the day, you come to consensus. But if you try to shut that person down, that is a serious source of conflict. Because that person will also not take it lightly. But if you know the person's background, let's study people we work with, and let's study people we church with, so we'll be able to understand them. When we understand them well, we will live in harmony. I'm telling you. Okay, so let's move on. And then there's also what we call equitable treatment. That one, I've talked about it already. So sometimes you punish people, and some of them you don't punish them. You reward people. That if you have to reward everybody, you don't reward some people, you reward some people. It's not fair. Then violation of territory. I don't know about every organization. Everyone who works in an organization should have a job description. Your job description shows what you do, and it's very important. Even in the church, anybody who holds a position should have a job description, because there is the likelihood that you violate somebody's territory. And when you violate your territory and you go to another person, what somebody does, the thinking is that I don't feel something to me. Yes, I do. Something that is trivial, it can turn into a big thing. So everyone should know what he does, and it shouldn't be just that. There should be reporting structure. Who do I report to? Very, very important. And there should be an organogram, organizational chart, so you know who is next, who is your supervisor, who is your manager. And when you do that, you are able to understand the behavioral architecture very well. Yeah. Okay, please. Then there's also over-reliance on gossiping. We gossip too much in the church, in the organization. When we form informal groups and we close church, we go and sit somewhere and we talk about in the crowd, in the pastor talked about this, he talked about why should he talk about this? Gossip and gossip and gossip. It is not a good thing. See, sometimes even people set spies. Some leaders at the workplace, they set spies for, and then people go and lie to them. When you set spies to get information, because they want favor, they'll come and lie to you, lie about people, and it's not a good thing. You see, so let's be let's be careful. Let's be each other's keeper. Don't be part of people who gossip at the workplace. Neither the workplace nor the church. Please, it's not a good thing. I know how people behave in church. So most of the time when I close, then I leave. I don't want to talk to anybody, so somebody will come and tell me this. I just sit in my car and I go. Because sometimes it's not necessary. They'll come and tell you the moment you are close to somebody, then they will tell you things. And it's not good. It doesn't. Sometimes you've been praying for something all the while, you will not get it. It's because you don't have a clean heart. Oh, I've quoted it already. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Okay. Even though Paul was doing the wrong thing, God still blessed him. God chose him because he had a pure heart. What he was doing at the time, I've said it already, that he had a clean heart. He thought he was doing the right thing for God. So when he got to know the right thing, he changed. Thank you. And then there's also one-man show. You don't, interference is there. You don't interfere with what others do. One-man show. One person thinks he knows everything. It's a lie. You cannot do everything. If you see somebody behaving like that person is corrupt. I'm telling you, anybody who behaves as if he knows everything, he doesn't want people to see what he is doing. So he does everything. So if you don't trust everybody, why should everybody trust you alone? For me, if I see that, it's a sign that the person is hiding something. You understand me? Let us, as we grow in our own small way, as we move along the ladder in the organization, let's be consultative. Let's consult our colleagues so we get ideas from them. It is very important. In Tree, there's a proverb that says, "Ohinia unti efutuno, ode jana nkobedwem." Even when you are doing the wrong thing, your staff will leave you. You go and disgrace yourself. So please, let's take this one too seriously. Then inflated ego. There are people who have ego to the extent that when they see people, they will look at them and they don't want you to, because they have made some money. They have money. Look, to the extent that I have friends who do not believe in God because they have money. Say, how come God? Oh, they don't believe in God. So I asked somebody one question and he couldn't answer it. He was laughing. I said, look, you said there's no God. Okay. Things that happen naturally, they don't take, they are not designed. If, for instance, this place, there's some catastrophe and something breaks down here, it doesn't form anything. But look at, I asked him to look at his nose and asked him, why is your nose not turned upside down? If your nose were to be upside down, when it rains, you would drown. Somebody turned it this way. So how come, who did it? Who turned it this way so you will not drown? Then he was looking at our face and was laughing. There is somebody there. And he said, okay, what have you seen that? I said, I've felt the person before. I've prayed to the person and I've prayed to God and I've had answers. So I believe I have evidence. He said, I don't need evidence. I'm saying, yeah, I have it. If you don't have it, be there. You see, so that is the truth about life. There are people, when they make some small money, but you see, Nebuchadnezzar, you see how it ended with Nebuchadnezzar. If you have some small money and you say there's no God, there will come a time God will appear to you, and when he appears to you, you see your pepe. Okay, so please let's move on. I think our time is not enough. And then communication. You see, when we are communicating with people, whether in the church or the workplace, let it be clear, because unclear communication can lead to conflict. There is a big company in Ghana, and this one I shouldn't say it because somebody here works there. Do you know what they have put in front of the inscription in front of the gate? Empty taxis are not allowed in here. Empty taxis are not allowed in here. Can empty taxis move? Empty taxis cannot move. But you have put there, empty taxis can. The statement alone in itself is conflictual. That statement there is conflictual. And we have told them they are not changing it. You know it, eh? So, you see, you have to be clear with your communication. Once it is clear and the person understands it. One thing I've seen about us, I am also inclusive, is that we don't have listening skills. Ghanaians, when somebody starts saying something, the first 2-3 words, we take it and that's all, we are gone. Then we go and do the wrong thing. We don't take our time to listen to the end. My children do that a lot, and sometimes I get so annoyed. They will not listen to everything, and they are going, okay, what did I say? Then you will be standing there. So what were you going to do? So please, when listening skills is very important. So when we are taking instructions, sometimes we even have to write it. So you have it fully written, especially at the workplace. And even in the church, because without the right instruction, you go and do the wrong thing, and it can be a problem to the church. When you do the wrong thing, somebody will ask you, why did you do this? Then you'll be angry, and then you will turn into quarrel. Yes. Please, let's move on. There's a lot we have to cut out. This one, let's cut it out. It's important, but let's cut it out. So this one talks about job description and well-designed reporting structure. Some of the things, the inadequate job description, and so we have talked about them. Then policies formulated without regard to internal structures. You see, when you are formulating policies, you need to look at internal structures and formulate them. A church like this, I know definitely we have a constitution. So if we are coming out with policies, the policies should not be at variance with the constitution. Am I clear? Yes. So we have to follow what we have, the instructions in the constitution, and then make sure that whatever policy that comes out are in tune with the constitution. Then there's also implementing policies that are not consultative centered. I've talked about those ones already. And nepotism. You want to bring your person there where the person is not qualified. And then tribalism, that's why there is West. We were created in the image of God. So we are all one. No, God didn't say some tribe is better than the other tribe. Please, if you are a Christian, that is what you should have in mind first. That tribalism is not a good thing. No Christian encourages tribalism. Okay, so at the workplace, don't do that. And some of the effects of these things, high rate of turnover. You realize that some people, they leave the work because they can't see things clear. They are not happy. I have a friend who, I don't know whether he was joking, he was a teacher at Achimota School. He resigned, and then, do you know the reason he gave? He said there were too many trees, he could not see the skies. So he's really Achimota School. Apparently, there were too many problems. But maybe that was figurative. But he sounded, because he was leaving, he wanted to just say something to them, but you don't know, one day you will still need them. It's not good to do that. Okay, so turnover rate will increase. What it means is that people are not happy. And they will be ill-motivated if there is conflict situations. And I've told you that most of these things, they are latent. They don't show. But the individual feels it within him or her. You have done something very serious against the person. The person feels it within her, but she cannot say it. And so, Zana will resign. Maybe the person is a vital member of the organization. Sometimes even in the church, somebody will stop coming to church because of that. Because somebody talked to him or her in a way he or she didn't like, and then she will leave. Quietly leave, which is not a good thing. So please, when we are talking to people, Let's communicate well. Let's be friendly to them. Let's be each other's keeper. Even if people have problems, let's try and solve their problems. It's very important. Hey, somebody is laughing. It's not possible, eh? It's very possible. Oh. You don't know when you also be in trouble. Okay, so when you give out to people who are in need, or you support people who are in need, you are building your ark. The day of the flood, there's a way you'll be freed. Okay, so low morale and motivation, low productivity at the workplace. When this latent tension is pervasive, people don't work hard. They sit and watch. Let's wait and see what will happen because of trivial things, very minor things. Probably the way the boss talks to them, workplace incivility. There are people who, when they are bosses, they speak to anybody anyhow. Don't do that. Even when you have to correct people, correct them in love. Correct them with love. If you are supervisors, and even if your boss is doing the wrong thing, still show some love to your boss. There will be one day that he will love you. He will be kind to you. You won't believe it. He will sit down and think, I've been treating this person in this manner, but he has not been angry before. I think this person is a good worker, and you benefit from it. So don't harbor wicked things in you. Don't seek vengeance. Vengeance is of the Lord. If you are a Christian, that's what we always say. And I'm a boy. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Okay, so when we want to make things work by controlling role conflict, we need to streamline the recruitment procedure. We ensure that people we employ, this one is very difficult, but it's good to do it. We ensure that people we employ to the organization are people with the right ideals. When you go, people don't know this, but I'm telling you today, when you are applying for employment in an organization and they give you some form to fill, there's a reason for it. You want something from you. So you see that we have tailored most of the questions in such a way that we want to know who you are and how you behave. We want to see whether you are one kind of person who is opinionated, whether you are one kind of person which church, even sometimes we ask of your religious denomination. People don't know the reason why those things are there, but they are very important. Where you have worked before. If you say you are a teacher and the work you are going to do is a confidential work, it's not likely they will take you. Because the teachers talk. They don't they put all those things are there to guide the interviewers. So they are not there for nothing. At least in my organization we do it. I don't know about others. So please let's move on. So we need to streamline our recruitment process in such a way that we will have people with the right character, right values, and also we should be having debates and staff meetings in the church here. Dagadu here, we are good at that. Pastor will organize this, will bring this thing here, the lectern here, and we will preach, and then we will interact. People will ask questions. You know what that does? It's very, very important. It gives you the opportunity to say the things you also want to say. You voice out, you also want to voice out. It's a very good thing. So occasionally he does that, and I think it's good. Let's move to the next slide. And then we should make sure that information is open. We shouldn't hide information. Please, let's move. This one we have talked about it. Job description is very important. Organizational chart is very important. Every organization, whether a church or a profit organization, there should be these things. Please move. Let's move. Let's move on. So I've talked about prioritizing and effectively managing time. That is how, when you have role overload, you can control it. Otherwise, you won't be able to meet your target. Yes. Okay, please, let's move on. Okay, then there are some things we should do to our subordinates to help them. We should inculcate values such as hard work, fairness, passion to win in them. Then we should respect co-workers in areas of importance because some of them are indispensable. You see, when you see a cleaner You work with a cleaner. You think the cleaner is nobody. You are wrong. The messenger is somebody. The cleaner is very important. The cleaner, see, when somebody comes to your organization and he wants to know which organization, whether it's a good organization, sometimes they go to your washroom to find out what is there. So if you have a good cleaner who is well cultured, even your watchman, the watchman, is very, very important. Somebody comes and wants to make some inquiry. He doesn't know where to go. He goes to the security. If the security is cultured, he has correct values, the way we talk to the person will create some impression about the organization. So all those people need some customer service training. But when they are training people, they only train the people who go to town, and then they leave the people around. So when somebody comes, then they are fed with poison. They're going to organize. Okay, let's move on. So these are some of the things, and then we should all have a common focus as a team. See, we should also match workers with different skill sets and experiences to enhance their skills. You see, sometimes some people don't perform well, not because they are not too good, but they need guidance. So when you are matching people in teams, you match one who doesn't do too well with somebody who does well, so that person can learn from the person. Very, very important. You see, so nobody is useless in the organization. Before you realize, even the one you think is not good will come and bypass the one who is good. Yeah, so it's also very important. And then this is about communication. So we should avoid communication gaps and blurred roles. Please, let's move on. Good. So now we have all this while been talking about latent tension. What has not resulted in conflict per se, but it brings satisfaction because people are not satisfied. But according to the Global Negotiation Project, the Harvard Business School, they are saying that every conflict evolves from a latent tension. So it evolves as latent tension, develops into overt conflict, erupts into power struggle, becomes a resulting conflict, which can lead to violence. At each stage of this, at each stage, you should be able to control it, bring it down, if you are in tune. If you understand what you are doing, latent tension will not develop into overt conflict. You solve it there and then. And that's what we have been talking about. Please, let's move on. Okay. So here we say, controlling role conflict that has the propensity to be highly destructive. The Harvard Negotiation Project people, they call themselves third-siders because they view everything from the third side. They don't take sides. They call themselves third-siders. And they have three major aims to prevent destructive conflict from emerging in the first place by addressing latent tension. That's the first thing. 2, they resolve any overt conflict which develops. Then 3, to contain escalating power struggles that temporarily escapes resolution. So all these steps, there are ways of, and we'll go through how to do all this. But in the short while, we'll finish and then go. Let's move. So it says, what? The third-sided way of solving destructive conflict, they have a motto. They say, if contain if necessary, resolve is possible, best of all prevent. So the prevention is at the latent stage level. Make sure that you interact with people well, you come out with job descriptions that are clear. All those things are things that are at the latent tension level. But when they move from there, there are other things you should do. Okay, and these are, so they're saying skills needed to control destructive role conflict. They say there are 3 skills that are useful to any third-sider. They say you should see from the third side, listen from the third side, then you speak from the third side. How can this be done? Let's move on. So when you are seeing from the third side, you are not taking any side. You have to influence yourself. You see, when you want to control conflict or you want to resolve conflict, first you have to influence yourself by not being subjective. And the way you can do that is to see from the third side, not from both sides. There will be 2 parties. See from the third side. Yeah. And they say that the truth is we cannot even hope to influence other people unless we can influence ourselves. So the first challenge is to gain perspective. So when you are resolving conflict, you need to gain perspective. You need to be very smart about it. Before you come, you plan it, and then you look at the third side of it. Let's move on. Then you listen from the third side. In order to explore for possible agreement, we need to learn to listen to all perspectives, to have the picture, the whole picture. Then you understand the whole picture. Because if you don't understand the whole picture, you make mistakes. So you have heard from the third side, you have listened from the third side, and then now you are going to speak from the third side. Please, let's move on. So I will use two examples in the Bible to let you see how you can speak from the third side. Sometimes you don't even address the issue at all. You use another means. And I will use Nathan the prophet. Nathan went to David. And then instead of telling David that you are going to take somebody's wife, you see what you have done is bad, he didn't do that. Didn't accuse him. No. In conflict situation, don't accuse people. Even if it's so clear, be wise about it. So what Nathan did was that he said somebody had plenty sheep and he had visitors. Instead of killing one of the sheep he had, he went to take a colleague who had only one, that person's sheep, and killed it for the feast, to do feast for the visitors. And then David said, "What? Who did this? That person must surely die." He said, "You did it." He already, blamed himself as the person who is guilty. He himself said it too. It's not Nathan who said it. Nathan just created the scenario because he was looking at the situation from the third side, from another side altogether. He used an analogy to bring him into the fold, and he accepted the fact that he was guilty. Let's look at John the Baptist. John the Baptist was being troubled by Herod. He told the people that go and tell that folks that he's to shut up and all that. He was insulting Herod. At the end of the day, Herod beheaded him. So the words you use in controlling conflict is very key. Let's look at Solomon. When Solomon was, the issue between the two ladies who were fighting over the child. He didn't say you are guilty. No. He used an analogy. He thought of an analogy that is important. He said, okay, let's divide the child into two. He didn't accuse anybody. But when the lady said, let's divide it, he saw that no. A mother doesn't care if the child goes anywhere. She wants to save the child first. So that was what Solomon used. So that's Solomonic wisdom. When we are solving issues, conflicts, we should look at things from the third side. We shouldn't say this man is guilty, this man is not guilty. On what basis? All the people who have come with what? Coherent views about why they think they are innocent. So there will be a cliffhanger, but wisdom will decipher. Wisdom will show the difference. Okay, please let's move on. So the third siders think that when you are resolving conflict, don't take sides. Look at it from a third side. Okay, so what he's saying that speaking from the third side has the power to transform potentially violent conflicts into opportunities for collaboration. Thank you. Please let's move on. We are going back. Good. Then there is this how to control conflict at the stage of power struggle. Here it is volatile, but the first one is not so problematic. Mediator. That one, even in the church it happens. You mediate between two factions, and then you try and solve the problem. Then there is the arbiter, and then the third is the equalizer. Let's look at the mediator. Please move on. So the mediator's role is to help like what Solomon did, help the parties to resolve the issue without blaming anybody, and that's what we've talked about. But the arbiter, it's like the judge in the courtroom. Normally, in that circumstance, some rights, basic rights, are being violated. So for those of us at the workplace, they will move the issue to, let's say, Labor Commission. The Labor Commission will look into the case, and then if basic rights are being violated, Labor Commission will say that, no, do it this way. Then when they force you to do what you are supposed to do, that is when it has escalated to that level. But there is one that is very important, and that's very serious. The last one, the equalizer. You will see that when all these processes have gone through, we have gone through all these processes, and we are not able to resolve them, what workers will do is that they equalize the power of the person. How do they equalize the power of the person? You see, if you are the CEO of an organization, let's say a CEO of an organization, and you don't understand how to deal with people, what will happen is that you tend to be a judge in your own cause. The lawyers call it nemo juris in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your own cause. So in that situation, something must compel you to conform, and workers will come together. They will come together to equalize your power. And when they equalize the power, they come in a force. They will refuse to work. Sometimes it can be very destructive. So we are saying that if you are in a position to solve issues, all these ones from latent tension through the third-sided view, try and solve it before it gets to that situation. You know what happened to Winners Chapel? Now, because it was a one-man church, they split. So there are two Winners Chapel there now. It might have started from a small thing. Oh. Yes, so please, at the workplace too, set things must be taken seriously. Don't be a problem fomenter. If you are a Christian, you don't create problems for the organization. You need to insist on your right anyway, but you don't foment problems. So that is what I have to say here. And I'm almost ending my presentation, but I want us to look at some ethical issues before we finish. There are some scholars who have made statements that are very important. Cass and Khan, they have proved that highly productive employees consistently had supervisors who treated them as people, not as tools or objects to get the work done. So when you are working with people, treat them well. It is important that you treat them well. They are human beings. Create a relationship with them, even in the church. If you are, no matter how resourceful you are, people around you, create a relationship with them. Smile with them. I'll tell you something that happened here some time ago in this church. The other day I said it at the teaching the class. I was sitting here, and then there's an old man, very old man. He was sitting behind me. He will get up, then he will go, they will come and sit down. He did that about 4 times. So I asked him, oh man, what is the problem? Where problem go? I said, okay, but we're outside. So I went out with him. Not knowing, he had left, he was heating some water. And he had left it on. And he was wondering how he would go back. He didn't know how he would go. He was confused. So I said, oh, where is the house? I said, oh, it's at South Labadi. And I put him in the car and went. And when we went, it was true. He was not sure whether the thing was on or not, but when he went, the thing was on, it was red hot. It was going to burn the whole house. So if I sat there and said, oh, it's not my business, I won't mind this man, the whole house would have been burnt. So when you come, you're watching things around, people who are in need are around. You can help in a way. You understand me? So that is what we are talking about as Christians. We need to develop good relationship at the workplace and in the church. There are people who need us. One day, we also need people. There's no way I will remain the way I am. I can also be old and I will not be, maybe mine will be worse. Maybe mine will be worse. See, but the man, at least, he remembered. But he was not too sure. So I said, if you are not sure, let's go. They said, hey, if you are not gone, you see you. So I think it is important. Please, let's move on. We'll finish right now. And then Nathan and Mormon, they also found out that good interpersonal relationship between leaders and those they lead improve productivity. This one is self-explanatory. Let's move on again. Okay, so these are some philosophical views. They have to do with ethic of reciprocity. What you want done unto you, do unto others. Very important thing. And I will begin with Socrates. He said, for instance, that do not do to others what would anger you if done to you by others. It's a basic principle. What, when done to you, will anger you, don't do that to others. Please, let's move on. Let's see the next. Oh no, let's go back, please. Then Epictetus also said, what thou avoidest suffering thyself, seek not to impose on others. It's the same principle. Please, let's go to the next slide. Hello? There are some verses there. I don't know whether somebody can quickly read them, then we move on. Okay, Matthew 23, that one I know it offhand, so I can say that one. I mentioned it here earlier. It says, you Pharisees and Sadducees, hypocrites, you tithe, all those things they said, but you have avoided the weightier things in life, which is just. You see there? I think yes. Okay, you have the ecclesiastic. Okay, so moreover, when God gives you someone health and possession and the ability to enjoy them, to accept their lot and be happy in your God toy, this is a gift from God. So whatever you gain, whatever you have, it was God that gave it to you. Share it with others. It's not yours. Probably God gave it to you because He expected you to help your people around. And then the second one, Ecclesiastes 6:1, it says, I have seen another evil under the sun, and it weighs heavily on mankind. God gives some people wealth, possessions, and honor, so that they lack nothing their hearts desire. But God does not grant them the ability to enjoy them, and strangers enjoy them instead. This is meaningless, a grievous evil. You know what? He is blaming God, but he doesn't know. Let me tell you something. If what has been given to you, you don't use it judiciously, you will get amass so much wealth that you will not enjoy it. You would never enjoy it. You realize that after toiling over it, you give up the ghost, and another person will come and misuse it. Why is it so? Probably how you acquired it is not proper. 2, it could also be that you don't have the good intentions. You are not using it for the purposes for which God gave them to you. You are misusing it. So God will take it out. He won't even allow you to enjoy it. Okay, so is there any other verse there? The Matthew 23. Let me see the Matthew 23, please. It says, woe unto you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You give a tenth of your spices, that's title, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law: justice, mercy, and faithfulness. He didn't say you shouldn't pay your title. He said this one is more important. Pay your tithe and do this one in addition. Be just. Have mercy on people. So if you are wicked and you come and pay your tithe, it's meaningless. It's the Bible that is saying it. So before you come and pay your tithe, you pay your tithe gracefully, but have a kind heart. Pay your tithe gracefully with a kind heart, and God will bless you. But if you are coming to pay your tithe and you have been wicked to people, somebody is lying in your house sick, you didn't take care of the person, then you come and pay your tithe when you have in excess. God will not, it's even a curse to you. God will not bless you. So these are some of the principles we want to learn as Christians in the church, that we should be each other's keeper. Okay, please, let me move on, because I think, okay, then there is this, I don't know whether you people have heard this Chinese sage. It's called Confucius. He's the founder of Confucianism. He recorded something, and he was asking somebody a question. So the person asked, the person is Chukun, and he asked, is there a single word which can be a guide for conduct throughout one's life, is asking this question. He said, is there a single word which can be a guide for conduct throughout one's life? Then the master said, it is perhaps the word shu. Shu in Chinese means what? Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. He says this thing is the most important thing in life. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. Then let's go to Judaism. Judaism is what Christianity came out of. Judaism, Talmud also says that. No, let's go back, please. I'm talking about Judaism. Say, what is hateful to yourself, do not to your fellow men. What is hateful to yourself, do not to your fellow men. Let's move the next slide. We are getting to the end. Islam, the Muslims, they are saying that no man is a true believer unless he desires for his brother what he desires for himself. The Muslims are saying it too. So Christianity is in it, Judaism is in it, and then Hinduism. So one should never do to another that which one regards as injurious to oneself. This thing casts across all the religions. Every religion has this principle in it. So it means this is something that should guide our life. It is very important. Don't do unto others what you think when done unto you, you won't like. Don't do unto others. It is the basic thing that will solve conflict. And that's how I see it. I may be wrong anyway. So please, let's move on. Then conclusion. I'm concluding. So I'll quickly read this thing and we'll finish. According to Nelson Mandela, one person may have the top title and official authority, but this or his effectiveness is often the function of the quality of all the other people who stand beside him or her to exercise leadership. So it's not you alone that you think you are doing everything. The people around you are also doing something. The messenger is doing something. In the church, the usher is very important. The instrumentalists are very important. The singing band people, the choirs, they are all very important. So we should accord everyone some respect. Don't look at the face and say that this person, they are not respecting the person. Okay. If a leader focuses on other person's inadequacies, he undermines the confidence and this reinforces losing streaks. You see, there are people who look at negative things about people. That is the only thing they look at. When you do that, you undermine their confidence. They can't work hard. Encourage people to do what is right. But most of the time, look at their positives too. Okay, please, let's move to the next slide. Quickly. Okay, so these ones, they are all about all we said earlier. And so, please, the next slide. Hey, I want to show you something. I want to see the last slide. No, the last one. Move the next one, which is the last one. Good. You see, the master of the forest. This is the end of a lion that has consumed so many, that can be the end of every man. You think you are the powerful in the jungle, but one day you'll be so helpless, and if you don't take care, things will be difficult for you. The people you meet on your way up, be kind to them, treat them well. And one day when you can't do anything, those people will stand by you. Nobody is so powerful unto himself that he can do everything for himself. I hope you take this thing as. And then what is written there? Even the king of the jungle has an end. Not even able to hunt for food anymore. Tread softly, no matter how strong, oppressive, or intimidation you are. There will be an end. And then I will end with singing man for you. Moramu nimse otanfu nenia biri. Nenia biri o onya wo bese wo. Obese wo intia veni. Nie ye no se o jina o. On veni ye bum na wa hwasi o. Amen. Now, the question.
Okay, so please, if you have a question, can we see by your hand if you have a question? I think I have a question. Mine has to do with work as you presented. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I've really learned a lot. And during your presentation, yeah. Okay. So during your presentation, you said something about the definition of conflict, and you talk about conflict comes about due to opposing views. And I want to ask a question on that. There are times that people's view within yourself in an organization, you know, it's not the right thing. And you know, people can pose their view based on what they think, but maybe deviate from that norm. And you think that view can actually lead to the organization to the wrong direction.
Yes.
Should you allow? So that's my first one. Should I ask or?
Let me answer this one first. So what I would say about that is that, you see, I said earlier that the environment in which you were brought up sometimes shapes your behavior. And apart from that, you have your own interests, you have your desires, and sometimes to you, you are right. But it doesn't mean you are right. You see, there are people who are very powerful and are very eloquent. So sometimes their argument will prevail. But it doesn't mean they are right. So that's why sometimes organizations fail. You understand me? Maybe the person who has the right opinion may not be so eloquent, but the one who has the power of speech, the one who is eloquent, will overshadow him. And before you realize there's a problem. So it happens. But most often than not, the solution to disagreement or conflict is consensus. When you build consensus, you are able to find solutions. So we all want to build consensus rather than take one side of the view. You can ask, are you okay?
Yes. The second one has to do with the role conflict. Mm-hmm. And you talk something about the intergender conflict.
Yeah.
There are times that you go to an organization, as you said, the constitution. They have what governs the organization.
They have their statutes, they have their basic laws, yeah.
Yeah. For instance, the Achimota issues that happened, and you realize
the Rastafarian
okay. issue. They have their constitution, and you are coming. But they also have their own view. So in entering into such an organization, should your view be the one to bring on board, or you have to sacrifice to follow what as happens in the Achimota issue?
Yeah.
Based on the intergender conflict.
Yeah, let me tell you something. It's not everything that I explained, but there's one thing that is very important. Situations can change constitutions. Do you know that even the national constitution, some people can take issues to the Supreme Court, and then when it gets there, the Supreme Court ruling changes the constitution, whatever is there, because they are the final people when it comes to issues like that, when there's a cliffhanger, when there isn't a clear-cut situation. This issue you talked about, the Rastafarians, it borders on human rights. The constitution is very silent on it. No constitution in Ghana says, the constitution doesn't say that you cannot put on your hair and grow your hair. What Achimata School was implementing was a policy they had. But these people quoted human rights, that their son has the right to grow his hair. You see? So that was why they won the case. Didn't they win the case? I think they won the case. Because they said the person has the right. But me, anyway, I'm not happy with the fact that they won the case, because I wouldn't be happy when my son sits with Rastafarians to learn with them, people who grow their dreadlocks and all that. But that is the extent to which human rights can carry us. Have you forgotten that now people are seeking to marry male to male, female to female, and they base the argument on rights? You see, so the extent to which human rights can carry this nation or this world is very serious. The queer people, you know what they did? They behave like animals. And they say it's their right to behave like animals. You see, so if you stretch the issue to that extent, it's like stretching it to absurdity. If you think you have the right, so you can do everything that you want, it's not proper. You see what they are doing now? People are sleeping with animals. So it's not everything that we can follow. They want the case in court, but me personally, I don't think I don't support it. I don't know about you. Do you support it?
Okay, that is my last question. Sorry, I'm asking 20 questions. My last question has to do with Christianity and work. As we are talking about conflict and then work and then church, there are people who enter into job, and job can distract their Christian duties or even attendance to church. So you enter into an organization and you have a boss who doesn't have that mindset that you have, and it brings conflict between the two of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will ask you to come to church even on Sundays. You think you have to come to work. In such cases, how do you resolve it?
Oh, you see, let me give you one example. This question you asked, I will give you an example of what Otabel said. This Otabel solved some marital problem. You see, somebody's husband was beating her every time because she was going to all night. And then she went to Otabel for counseling that she wants to divorce the husband. Otabel said, so if you don't go to the all night and you go to church on Sunday, what will happen? Your husband doesn't like it. Just stop it. Eh? Who told you that when you go to church on Sunday alone, you have sinned? If you have time, you can go to church. But if your boss somehow is insisting on you, I don't think it should be able to be every Sunday. Maybe once a while, he will ask you to come to work on Sunday. You can compensate for it on Monday or Tuesday. You come for Bible class, and there are other programs that you can avail yourself of. But don't disobey your boss. Authority. You see, the Bible talks about authority. The fact that we should respect authority, should obey authority. It's very important. So please, what I'll tell you is that if your boss insists at the workplace, it's your boss who has the power. Unless you see that he's violating your right. If you see that it's intentional, he doesn't want you to worship your God the way you should worship your God. That one is a different thing. If he says, don't go to church on Sunday, always come to work on Sunday, that one I don't think is proper. But if once a while, come to work on Sunday, please do. Because sometimes our work carries us outside even Accra, sometimes outside Ghana, for about 1 month. Well, that one, what will you do? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Yes. So in all this, you have to plan your things in such a way that you don't do the wrong thing. Sometimes we make several mistakes because we follow things wrongly, and before we realize, we lose a lot. Let's sometimes apply the practical things to what we do. Is there anybody here who can contribute to what he just said? Please.
Just to add to what he said, if your work is conflicting with your coming to church on Sundays, God knows your heart. And so the God who put you there will find a way of replacing that work for you.
Pray about it. Yeah, you pray about it too.
Yes. So don't give up.
Yeah, somebody's asking a question.
Yes, I have 2 questions, but they are on the personal conflict. They're on the personal conflict level. So, usually conflicts bring about rivalries, and in groups.
Mind you, it's not all conflicts that are destructive. Some conflicts brings out the best in people. Some disagreements bring. So go on.
No, so then you agree with me that sometimes conflict is necessary.
Sometimes. I didn't say all conflicts.
Okay, so those conflicts, is it okay for us to decide to let the conflicts stay? So no attempt to resolve or play any mediatory
I said
roles.
something earlier when I was talking to this man. I said the important thing that you came from conflict is to build consensus. You don't leave conflict like that. You build consensus. You try and get the views, and then you build consensus. You see of the lot. When you are working in teams, there is no way everybody will agree at the go. But through joining discussion, you find a common, common answer to your problems. Then you move on. But it's not as if somebody brings some idea, you say, no, I won't listen to you. I won't listen. If you are a leader, but eventually, it is the leader who will sift everything out and summarize and say that this is the consensus. And if everybody agrees, you move on. Don't let us be too argumentative or too opinionated, so we stretch things like the professors do. They will analyze everything, things that are straightforward, they want to analyze them because they also have an opinion. It's not good. You delay everybody's time. Don't be too intelligent to be reasonable. Just be reasonable. When things are said, be reasonable about them, and then you move forward. Don't always think that what you have said should be what everybody should take. No, it's not proper. Do you understand me? Mm-hmm. Any other question?
I have one that
You have asked plenty, so let's.
I would like to ask if you are working in an organization and the organizational culture conflicts with your religious belief.
So, which culture, for instance, you see, there are some organizations that do under invoicing, over invoicing, things that are against the rules, even the national constitution, and it's not a good thing. You need to be very careful about it, because if they are saying that this organization we kill people and hide them under, so will you still be there? You cannot. But it's a serious source of conflict. You understand? So can you give me an example of what is against your value as a Christian?
I don't have specific example, but the example you gave, sometimes you see because of the day and age we are in, people will say, oh, it's conflicting with my religious belief. If I will stop that way. But then the person is still thinking about it. If I stop, or
No,
sometimes they will be in looking for another one, hoping that if they get another better job, then before they will leave.
Good. The thing is, you can't. Sometimes it's difficult. I have to be frank with you. It's difficult to go and sit at home. It's difficult to go and sit at home. But sometimes you can ask for transfer from where you. If the problem is where you are, you can genuinely ask for transfer. So you'll be transferred to another place where there may not be that problem. You see? Yeah. But you need to trust God, though. You need to trust God. If the issue, the crime is so serious, please don't do it. I'm telling you, if it's a very serious thing that you think affects other human beings and can even create serious problem for other human beings,
You
don't do
better
it.
resign.
I'm telling you, don't do it. It doesn't mean you say you won't do it, but you won't resign. Look, let me tell you, it doesn't mean you have to resign. You can insist you will not do it, but you don't resign. And see whether they can sack you. They can sack you. You understand me? Me, I've gone through it before. I know what I'm talking about. I've gone through it before. If we are keeping long here, but if I have to give you the example, you'll be surprised. Sometimes by the time you finish everything, you realize that you have rather been a hero. Look, I will tell you this thing for the sake of when I started working at the University of Ghana, I was sent to the human resource section. So I was the one in charge of promotion, appointment, and all that. At the time of one of the promotion interviews, before even the promotion, one big man at Lagos called me and told me that he wanted me to be he wanted me to make him assess one particular person. I remember the name, the person's name was Azar. I want to assess Azar. Well, the man was the director of, I don't want to mention that God, maybe somebody knows the person. I said, how? You are not the direct supervisor. So you cannot. I said, no, I want to do it. So make sure I do it. I was confused. I went to my boss. I went to talk to my boss about it. My boss asked me, who is supposed to do it? I said, no, it's the direct supervisor. I said, now why are you asking me? Go and do what is right. So I became angry and I went and wrote a letter to the direct supervisor. I said, he should assess. And the man assessed it. What I went through, hey, it was hell. Everywhere I moved, they would be writing anonymous letters about me. But you see, God will vindicate you if you are right. This man kept on maltreating, making sure that, and you know what? He went to say things about me to people. And then one of them called me. Look, this mouth we have, let's be very careful. When you are angry, sometimes you better keep quiet. I know what I'm saying. Do you know that when the man told me that they said I am going to collect somebody's money from somebody for admission, so many passapas and send me brave. I said, me, okay, go and tell him. Go and tell him that if I pour ordinary water on the ground, something will happen to me. Hey, do you know what happened to them? I didn't do anything to them. I just said, mind your words. I'm telling you, if you out of anger, you say some things. The following the man had a serious accident. When he came out of the serious accident, there was an issue in his office about leakages of examination questions and all that. The man was transferred from the office. The man, I told, what I said to the man, I just said it. Well, anytime a man will be, I know also. I didn't do anything to the man. I just said those things. And those things I said, I'm sorry about it. I shouldn't have said those things. You understand what I'm talking about? So let's be very, very careful. If you are angry, the man, what I said about that man is now my friend. Although he maltreated me, he's my friend now. What if I said that Uncle Wudo here? If he had died, what would I have gained? You see, so please, sometimes some of these things, they may look very difficult to do. You will go through some things anyway. I'm telling you, I went through a lot. I went through a lot because there was no substance in what they said. At the point, they said one man called Alaji Gedo said he gave me money. I said, let the man come. He took me to a place. I sat there from morning to evening. Nobody came. They said, oh, pester my life, Keke. Because I didn't allow him to assess the person. And the person got the promotion. You were asking the question, please. No.
Maybe.
Yellow and black. No, after that, then you ask.
Actually, I think you've kind of answered. I wanted to give a specific example from what our mom was trying to. For instance, someone who is working at a PPHE, they deal with abortion and advising young people on how to all that and all that. So I just wanted to give that specific example and let's see how.
Hey, as for abortion, there is not a good thing. No. But who said PPHE, they ask people to do abortion?
Okay, so most often they advise people on reproductive, like...
No, reproductive health, but they don't ask you to go and do abortion. As for abortion, there is a no-go area. It's a no-go area. It's like killing a human being.
Sure.
In fact, my principle, I will not, if mistakenly something like that happens to me, the person will give birth. But I mean, I'm not a Catholic. So are you a Catholic? Why are you worried about Catholics? Yeah. No, protecting yourself is not a sin. Me, I don't see it as a sin. No, I don't see it as a sin. Why is it a sin? No, if you see your values, for all you know, Papa Soko's values are that no contraceptive. But me, I don't believe you shouldn't use contraceptive because you and your wife, if you don't want to do that, you practice safe sex. So you'll be giving birth till when? What is that? you can't do that. You can if you don't take care. You have you have to go and buy bedroom for your wife. You give birth plenty. No. Me, I don't know, but I don't know your thinking about it. It depends on. We are all sharing ideas. In your mind, you think the use of contraceptive is a sin? I don't know. No. I'm asking you. What you think is a sin?
Well, I think for people who are not married, in a way.
No, not for that one. It's fornication.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
But when you are married, I think it's yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you wanted to ask. It's a difficult one. That question.
Thank you so much. My question had to do with the question Madam was asking. She was asking of if the norms of the work is against your religious values, what do you do?
But you
were given the point of you can ask for transfer, or if it is like they kill people and hide, you leave that way.
Yeah, if it's about killing human beings, you have to leave.
Okay. I am coming to a point where you are a native of like Osu here, and there's a serious conflict that all the protocols have been observed, yet it persists. Do you need to leave your home?
All the protocols, I'm not getting, be specific. Which protocols?
Like the conflict resolution you mentioned about, even to the point of passing judgments about it, and we break all those laws by going ahead to kill each other, to fight with guns and all those things. And now you are in that particular place, hearing this, like what we learned today. Do I need to pack my family and leave here safely?
Leave Osu because of those things?
Exactly. Or I have to also defend myself in a way.
Okay, I understand you. No, you can. If you think the for instance, drumming on dancing and what ban on drumming and dancing is not something you like, you cherish, and it's affecting you here, you can move to maybe airport residential and go and live there, because I don't see why this thing should be a problem. But for me, I will not leave. I will not leave. I can stay with people who you always pray for them at dawn, make sure they change their attitude, and that's the way out. I don't think you should run away.
I want to be clear here. Like where I'm coming from, we have a serious issue like that. You cannot call yourself a Christian or a Muslim, especially as it comes to a time that there is war.
Where?
So,
which place is that?
Whether you belong to this religion, if like we are fighting, we are contributing to buy guns, or we are contributing to buy bullets, you must.
Then you leave.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Okay, so please, in your submission, you were talking about like let's say your boss will give you an instruction openly, you are to do this, and then the person pass behind and come and give you another instruction. And at the end of the day, between you and your boss, you know, like he does lie, or like there's kind of some lies peddling around, and you don't want to have any conflict with your boss, so you always try to be nice and
you can't say you have that one. You see, that's what I'm saying. Conflict is something that can always come. You see, conflict is something that can always come. There's always a way out. See, your boss may not be the topmost boss. There's a way of sharing ideas with other people. You understand me?
Yes,
but don't say that you want to be nice with your boss, so you do the wrong thing.
No, it is not like, so at the end of the day, people around you, like your colleagues, they see you as you are trying to be a hypocrite. Like, you know what the person is doing is not good.
So they are right. Because you are trying, it's true, you are trying to be a hypocrite.
But at the end of the day, if you are to report the person, it will look like you are either trying to
there's
take
a way
the
out. It's
position.
not always reporting the person. Sometimes you can see a senior person to talk to him to desist from it. If he doesn't, reporting, there are several ways of reporting. Sometimes some organizations, they have suggesting boxes that you can go and put something in. Some of the organizations too, you can talk to somebody who is in the position to advise or to warn him. They may not know it is coming from you. You can do it in such a way that Wechi efita o de bi free. The other night ako drio bi ho. Na nipa no akonfront no. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you understand tree? You can use another person without him knowing it is you who did it. It doesn't matter. You don't know anything. You don't know. If it comes to the West, you ask for transfer. It's always there. You know, if you may have been at the human resource unit for a long time, I'm no more there. I'm telling you, if you ask for transfer with this reason, they'll transfer you. Hey, then you are doomed. But you don't do it. I don't think you should do the wrong thing. You see, if it is one man's business, he will not worry you with those things. It's normally government organizations or big organizations that they do that. Because if it's my business, I can say I'm appointing this person. Do you understand me? So in that case, there may be other senior people in the organization you can confide in. or as for you, you do it. You do the wrong thing. Yes, office politics. We are all in it. Look, it's not you alone. I told you what I went through. You want to have, if you want to be a true Christian, you won't have things easy. You don't think that you everything will be easy for you. That's what I want. Don't forget it. Okay, you want to say something, eh? This one should be the last. Then we go.
Yes, please. Please, thank you so much for your presentation. Please, when you were giving the resolution factors, you made mention of 3 things. The equator, the mediator.
The equalizer, the mediator, and then the arbiter.
Yes, the one that had to do with people coming together to be stronger, equal with the leader.
Yeah.
And all what you were saying, I was looking at it in the light of the conflict that is happening currently, like Russia and Ukraine. And Europe have come together.
And now Russia wants to negotiate. Have you heard it?
Yes. So I'm saying that would they reach a consensus, because that was how you ended the presentation, because conflict must always...
Look, you know what? It's not all conflict that has gone to the destructive stage. It's difficult to reach a consensus. Sometimes one of the people should give in. So that was what Russia wanted to do. But even that, somebody can intervene. You see now, because the powers are becoming equal, with the support from the Europeans, the powers are, US cries behind. Now Russia wants to negotiate. So that's the equalizer we are talking about. You understand me? At the point where they said they wouldn't negotiate, it was because they were so powerful and far more influential than Ukraine. But all these things, America is bad. They are the people considering all these things. Okay, so you ask the last question then. Oh, you are okay. Okay, so I think we are done. My home is far. I'm Legonton. So please leave me so I'll go. So you started with the prayer. Come and end us with the prayer.
All right, we can do better for Professor Sarkodie. These are lectures that people have to pay and then listen to, and we are fortunate that he's one of us and he's doing this for free. What shall we say? God bless you. God bless you. Can we shortly stand and then stretch our hands towards him and then pray for him that God himself would revive him whatever that he has lost in this process. God himself will look upon this as a memorial and then bless him abundantly. God would let this, oh God, speak for his children that would come after him, generations after generations that will come after him would see a legacy that he has left behind. We want to pray for him and his family and whatever work he's doing, that God will protect him from every evil eye. Any eye that will try to stop the good work he's doing wherever he is, at his workplace, we want to pray and protect him. God should protect him and dip him in the blood of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Father, we thank you. We bless your name for this evening. We pray that, oh God, whatever that we've heard here, we pray that, Let us be the light. Let us carry this message to wherever we go, that we will be people that would seek for peace and not to cause conflict at our workplace. We pray that even as we go home, you guide and lead us, protect us, and at the end of the day, when we come and meet here again, we shall give glory and honor unto your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Shall we share the grace? The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen.